Hello, my name is Swaggery, and I'm the coach of the Rock'em Sock'em Rotoms, and welcome to Week 5 of the Professional Competitive Pokemon League. Back into draft content, I unfortunately wasn't able to record Week 4 because I was out of town while I played that game, but we were able to score a win, which was really big. And the most exciting thing about coming into Week 5 is that my new transactions are finally on the board. We were able to acquire brand new Thwacky and Dragapult, which is huge. Of course, everything comes with a price. We had to give up Ogerpon as well as my Tech Golduck that I was really excited to use at some point during the season. But I think that what I got in return was absolutely worth it. I mean, there's a lot that can be said about Ogerpon. It's invaluable support. I had the Grass Ogerpon, so it can Terra to raise its speed and hold an item where the other ones can't. But as soon as Thwacky was dropped and was back on the board, I knew I had to do something to get it. And alongside that, I picked up Dragapult, which is a great support Pokemon, some speed that I think my team desperately needs, and in general is very exciting for me. New Fake Out Mon, Grassy Terrain Setter to override other terrain, Dragapult being able to set screens really reliably for the team. I'm excited about all of it. I won't yap on about my own team before I get into the actual team building process for very long. I just wanted to mention these changes, and I'm excited. It seems like it'll be a good rest of the season with this squad. Let's go ahead and get into the actual team building process for this week, though. My opponent for this week is OkkND. The team OkkND drafted is very reminiscent of Regulation H. If you were playing VGC during that time, there's a lot of staples of that regulation kind of present on the team. I believe OkkND drafted Amoonguss before anything else, which was an interesting choice, but also completely valid. Amoonguss is an amazing support Pokemon, and Redirector, and Status Spreader, and all of those other things. And then the more afterthought of the team, not necessarily afterthought, but less of a build around, was the Restricted and Necrozma Dawnwings. Still a very threatening Pokemon, great offensive pressure. I learned during the building process that Tinkaton's Mold Breaker does not actually work on the Prism Armor ability. There's just a couple abilities that ignore Mold Breaker because they can. They wanted them to be powerful, and Necrozma Dawnwings is one of them. So unfortunately, I couldn't invest enough into my Tinkaton's knockoff to one-hit KO it, but regardless, I won't get ahead of myself. I always like to look at a team and just get a general vibe, look at speed tiers, and see what I notice. And the first thing that jumped out to me about this team is the lack of offensive pressure outside of the restricted Pokemon and Iron Valiant, and the very low speed tiers. So, what kind of comes to my mind is that this is very likely to be a devoted Trick Room team that obviously I cannot let get Trick Room up, and is very likely to be bulky and try to wall things before it tries to kill things. That works well for me. I am okay with that. I have a rather offensive team. I'm kind of a fan of my team because of how well it exerts pressure alongside how well it can tank hits. I have a lot of do-it-all type mons. So the entire goal of this prep for me was to win the speed wars. I wanted to make sure that no matter what my opponent led, no matter what could possibly happen on turn 1, that I would deny Tailwind, get my own Tailwind up, and deny Trick Room, or get my own Trick Room up. Whatever benefited me the most. Basically, what ended up coming into play were these two Pokemon on the right here, Moltres as well as Sinistra. These were the first two Pokemon that I kind of thought of in terms of devoted leads. Sinistra, the Mental Herb, Imprison, Trick Room, to make sure that Trick Room cannot get up on the other side, even if it's taunted, even if the other Pokemon has some sort of trick that it might be able to pull out on me. That is the goal there. And then Moltres has Covert Cloak to avoid fake out pressure from the likes of Incineroar and War Turtle, as well as Tailwind on itself, and a Terra Grass to deal with any sort of coverage moves that might be going for it, as well as Amoonguss Spore. There's a lot of things that I attempted to cover for simultaneously, but I think I did a good job. The goal of these two as my devoted leads is I don't see really necessarily a way that my opponents could overwhelm them and stop my own speed control, whereas I've tried to account for every possibility in stopping my opponent's speed control. The hyperfixation that I have this week on speed control comes obviously because Amoonguss, Incineroar, Rhydon, and the like are quite terrifying under Trick Room. Alolan Executor can woodhammer my Kyogre to bits if it is slow enough and Trick Room is up. And I don't doubt that if I don't do something about this, I certainly can be worn down by my opponent's offensive pressure. But with that being said, I think if I win the Speed Wars, that I win this game. Now, I'm so confident about this because this week I decided that what I wanted to make work was Choice Specs, Modest, Terra Water, Water Spout, Kyogre. I wanted to click the biggest possible button that I have access to and completely overwhelm my opponent. I learned from, I believe it was a Cybertron VGC video the other day, that Choice Specs Kyogre, under the right conditions, can just one-hit KO Amoonguss, even a bulky one, with max special attack Water Spout. So that is going to be the goal. If I can pull that off one time, I'm going to be a happy camper. You can imagine that that would be a feat that I would be happy to catch on camera. Ticketon is there for the, obviously, fake out support. It gets good coverage into my opponent's team. Because of how the speed tiers work out, it outspeeds everything barring Iron Valiant. Most of my team does, in fact. And I am going to just do my best to sit next to Kyogre and weaken anything that needs to be weakened so that Water Spout can hard clean everything. I imagine that that is going to be what ends up happening. If my opponent ends up bringing a significantly more offensive squad than I originally accounted for, I have a couple more options in the back that I have as failsafes. Iron Ball Scrafty is here to be the absolute slowest possible thing on the board. We have Iron Ball as well as Terra Grass to avoid Amoonguss Spore, as well as Encore to Encore Amoonguss into trying to sleep something or maybe anything else that it might not want to be doing over and over again. I just need to deal with Amoonguss under Trick Room if it gets to that point. Helping Hand to help out whatever is sitting next to it, and that is pretty much the entire point of Scrafty being here. Dragapult, on the other hand, is for the opposite situation. Under the circumstances that my opponent decides that an offensive Tailwind team with Corviknights leading the way is the way to go, and somehow gets that off on me and I am not prepared for it, Dragapult is here. Dragapult is the fastest thing in any given situation. I brought Life Orb as well as all the coverage that I believe that I need to take down anything that is sitting in front of me. And there's just a lot of things that I have tried to account for with some fail-safes. I think I built my team this week a little bit overzealous in trying to just make Choice Specs Kyogre do its thing. Every single Pokemon on the team, offensive or defensive, is trying to support it in that role, which, honestly, it might not be the best way to have built my team this week, but I did a calc, and I saw that Alolan Executor, you know, the bulky 4x resist to water that my opponent will likely bring to this matchup specifically for that purpose, has a chance to be 2-hit KO by Choice Specs Spread Move Water Spout. So if there's any indication as to why I might be building my team like this, that might be it. That's not to say that this is a meme team or anything like that. I do think that this is a really good team into my opponents. I think that the fact that I can outspeed everything is, with all of my Pokemon, is a great reason for me to be running this squad like this. Knowing that I'll have the speed advantage at all times as long as Sinistcha is able to do what it needs to do, and then memento itself out of there so it can do anything else on that turn, is really good. I am excited about trying to make everything here work. I think that it has a very good chance of doing it. I've EV'd, if you're curious about any of the EV spreads, I've EV'd everything just to make sure that Lead Necrozma Dawnwings doing some sort of Specs, Moongeist Beam stuff doesn't outright kill anything on my team. Indeedee with Psychic Surge as well as Expanding Force Necrozma Dawnwings could be somewhat scary, but the spread move nature of that and the fact that I am faster than it in most circumstances doesn't threaten me as much as one might imagine, even if they somehow double crit Choice Specs double KOs me with Sinistcha and Moltres right out the gates. I will be faster than both of those things, and I will get off my tailwinds, and I will bring in my Kyogre and start clicking buttons. So I am not necessarily afraid. I will love to see how this match goes, though, and I'm excited to get into it. For this time around, I am recording this before the actual game, so if a lot of the things that I say don't end up being true, understand that that is why. But I'm optimistic, and let's go ahead and get into the game. Okay, so let's see how the teams look going into this matchup. I will say that going into this, and seeing the team on the other side, I got a little bit worried. The Wartortle I was expecting might come. I understood that Eviolite made it bulky enough that it could do some good damage, or rather, it could take some good damage from my Kyogre and everything. But I think that the thing that worried me the most was seeing a lack of Amoonguss, a lack of Exeggutor, right? Those Trick Room Pokemon that I was expecting, and then the presence of Corviknight here. All of the things that I thought in my prep could threaten the Choice Specs Kyogre plan the most are present. We got two Fake Out users. We've got some really bulky stuff on the other side of the field, and in particular, one thing that I planned for basically at the end of my prep as an edge case was Light Screen and Reflect. Dual Screens Corviknight, and I think Iron Valiant gets them too, and of course Indeedee. Dual Screens in general, I thought would throw a little bit of a wrench into a lot of the damage calculations that I did. You know, Kyogre is great and all, but through screens, through resists, even all of the buffs that I'm giving it are not going to, just outright kill things. I went with my plan. As I mentioned, my plan was to lead my Sinistcha and Moltres, and that was what I was going to do in this game. But you'll see very quickly that it's not exactly a cakewalk. I didn't see the Trick Room I was expecting from the other side in terms of Trick Room mode, so I wasn't even sure if my opponents would set it up immediately. And I did neglect to bring a fire move on my Moltres. It is in favor of Scorching Sands, and that is another one of my sort of very, very in-depth attempting to cover for everything mind things that I was really trying to overthink. Moltres has Scorching Sands because I was very afraid of lead Wide Guard Terra Electric Iron Valiant that could very possibly just shut off my Kyogre and or outspeed it with the booster energy even under my Tailwinds and just outright kill it with a Thunderbolt with Terra Electric. So there were a couple things I was trying to account for that I think just made me worse into this Corviknight. I went with my normal plan here, Tailwind and Imprison, to make sure Trick Room does not go up. But we can see here that some of my worst fears came true. So no Psychic, Psychic was not imprisoned, no Trick Room was clicked, and Light Screen is also clicked here. I can only assume this is going to last 8 turns, so I don't think there's going to be any chance to stall it out. The only solace that I have here in that Amoonguss and Exeggutor not being brought is that despite the fact that this light screen goes up, there are still not water resists besides Wartortle on the other side of the field. So you could see me kind of deliberating on what to do here. And what I end up realizing is there's not a significant amount of pressure that my opponent is exerting. Despite the fact that they are going to do a really good job of preventing me from doing a lot of damage, what I do get in exchange for that is a double free switch. So my thought was, I imagine Corviknight is going to click Reflect here, and I imagine that Psychic is coming out into Sinistcha again, possibly to disable the Imprison, try to get Sinistcha dead as quickly as possible. So Tinkaton has a really good opportunity, especially with the Assault Vest, to just come in here and do what it likes. Fake Out's obviously not as relevant, but that Corviknight is able to survive anything through the light screen. I would like to be able to fake it out even in the Psychic terrain, because it's flying above the Psychic terrain. But you'll see another theme that I have in this particular video is I lock in this Kyogre's move very, very quickly every time it is on the field, because I don't think there's anything better to be doing or anything better to be predicting than just watching this Terastallization, seeing the Terra Water pop up over its head, and clicking moves. I made sure that Tinkaton was faster than my Kyogre here, just to get a little bit of extra information and make sure that my, Tinkaton can knock off an Assault Vest if it exists before my opponent gets to move, maybe break a Focus Sash, anything like that. But as we can see here, Psychic Seed Indeedee through Light Screen manages to survive. So I was a little worried about a retaliatory attack here, but when I saw the follow me, thankfully I was in the clear at that point. I don't think Corviknight had any chance to survive that. We see here a Necrozma, but thanks to the fact that, as I mentioned in the prep stage, my Tinkaton is faster than the entire team, especially now under Trick Room. I think I'm going to be able to deal with this Necrozma no matter what. I click Gigaton here to account for maybe a Terra Fairy, or a Terra Water, which is probably going to survive under these conditions, but I wanted to just click the strongest move, even if Knockoff was not going to be it. Water Spout comes out, and we could see here the beauty of my Kyogre sets. I am so excited to have got this just outright murdering through screens 3 members of the team, and of course the final member of the team that ends up coming in is none other than, as we could see, Wolfie VGC himself. His favorite Pokemon of all time, Incineroar, comes out, and it doesn't matter what Terra this is, it's a 4v1. I've never clicked a move faster in my entire life. I bring back out Moltres just to get a Scorching Sands off on this thing if it ends up tearing, or, a Hurricane, just to provide some support for Kyogre, but this is now single target, Water Spout, in the rain, with Choice Specs, Modest Nature, Terra Water, and we don't see any bother with the Terra coming out from the other side, and that is the conclusion of Game 1. Seeing the sets that my opponent brought, I was significantly more worried for Game 2. I imagined there would be a lot of counterplay that would be brought. I was very happy to see Psychic Terrain on Indeedee. One of the things I was actually afraid of in this game was no Psychic Terrain at all, and just fake out on Indeedee, fake out on Wartortle, fake out on Incineroar. And that was genuinely a little bit more scary than anything else. The only real counterplay I have to that is faster fake out with Tinkaton, and I can only do that once. So let's get into the second game and see the adjustments. Okay, so coming into the second game, was still not under the impression that my opponent could do anything about my speed control. I think that my lead is fine. I think that Moltres can take care of itself, Sinistcha can take care of itself. The only thing that I think I am ready to change here is the back. So Tinkaton against Iron Valiant is great and all, but those screens, in combination with a faster Iron Valiant, are going to give my Kyogre a lot of trouble. So the thing that I brought in order to outspeed Iron Valiant under Tailwind, even with its speed boost, was this Dragapult that I have in the back. I don't think I mentioned it during the actual team building section, but I brought Psychic Fangs on Dragapult very specifically for Light Screen, Reflect, breaking them, and the other moves in there are just super effective hits that I can get off on Incineroar and the Restricted Mon, and a Life Orb to make it all happen with as much power as possible. I believe I needed Life Orb in order to one-hit KO the Necrozma through the Prism Armor ability. We do see that Necrozma coming out. One of the things that I mentioned in the building section is there are two possibilities with an Necrozma lead and the Psychic Surge, right? Obviously, we are going to see an expanding force here. I think that that is the most natural play, but I've invested into Bulk so that under the worst circumstance, right, Choice Specs, both of my Pokemon die, but they get off their moves. Choice Scarf, which is what we end up seeing just about now, my Bulk is just good enough. So barring crits there, which absolutely could have happened, I was very happy to see that all of my plans came to fruition. And even better here, I don't even have to click Momentum with this Sinistra. It goes down instantaneously, and we get a free switch. So, the adjustment for my opponent to try to kill these things before they get started makes a lot of sense. I would have had to adjust, or I would have had to prep with a lot of speed in order to make sure that I could outspeed everything under the right circumstances, but I also invested a lot into Bulk. I didn't need to do anything else because my Kyogre was the only damage dealer that I was planning on bringing. So the good thing that we have going here is, again, I have every opportunity to click the big button. That is until the possible Wide Guard from Iron Valiant comes out. But for right now, we're safe. I'm outspeeding everything. Tailwind is up. I know I'm faster than Scarf on the Necrozma, so as I expected, it switches out, and they try to get the last two Mons that are not going to be killed by this Kyogre to do the rest of the work. I love to see this animation once again. It just makes me very happy, like I said, to have got this on camera. Let's watch the health bars go down from Water Spout one more time, shall we? Oh, thankfully I was also able to get the Hurricane here. You can see how especially bulky this indeed is with the Psychic Seed and everything, but this time it does not have the luxury of being behind the screens. So it, alongside everything, too will fall. Kyogre, 6 kills by the way. Already. 2 more Mons to go. So, this is the part where things get a little bit more scrappy. There's 2 Mons left in the back, Necrozma's still there with a Choice Scarf. I believe I only have 1 or 2 turns left of the Tailwind. Thankfully, actually, getting my Kyogre in a turn early there gave me another turn of Tailwind that I think, honestly, could have saved me here. That Speed Booster Iron Valiant outspeeds everything, even my Dragapult. So I don't think I could have done anything about it just grabbing a couple of kills as quickly as possible if my Tailwind ended up going down here. Moltres, still in the field. I would prefer if Moltres was the thing to go down, but I know that my opponent is going to be faster than me with Iron Valiants. There's no speed tier that I could get Kyogre at to make that not happen even under Tailwind. Iron Valiant is just very fast with Speed Booster, and I do kind of forget about Wide Guard in the moment here. I'm saying it now a lot as this is post-commentary, but I am fully prepared to just nuke both of these things from orbit if it doesn't target my Iron Valiant, and if it does, then I'm prepared to hit it with my Moltres and get some damage off on it, and clean up with Dragapult. So, Wide Guard comes out, it makes a lot of sense. I think that there's no reason that that wasn't going to be the move clicked there. I get the Scorching Sands off, which was, again, a little bit hasty on my part. I did predict a Terra, but I predicted it would be a Terra Electric and try to kill my Kyogre here. So, yeah, we can see that Wide Guard protecting everything, and we can see the Necrozma landing some absolutely massive damage onto Kyogre. That weakens the water spout. But because I do not have another Pokemon to switch out to here, I'm just going to have to keep on clicking it. Um, Now, I'm actually not 100% sure. I don't think that Scarf Necrozma can outspeed a max speed Dragapult, but I am not max speed Dragapult. So this might have outsped me if we did not have Tailwind available here. But knowing that it can't click Protect is really what saved me under these circumstances. Dragapult's coming in on cleanup duty. First time that I have it on my team. I feel really good about the work that was able to put in here. The Iron Valiant gets the Wide Guard off, that's totally fine. I get the Shadow Ball off, and despite the fact that Kyogre was not able to get off its 8-kill match, I am pretty happy with how this one turned out. So now my opponent kind of has to pick their poison. They could kill either of my Pokemon on this next turn, but one of them can only be blocked by Wide Guard, and the other one is just going to nuke them, whichever one that they choose. So I lock in both of my moves. I'm actually not 100% sure that Shadow Ball kills here, but it's a Life Orb modest Shadow Ball from a Dragapult, and I didn't want to risk missing a Hydro Pump in the rain or anything like that. So Dragapult goes down, Kyogre gets its 7th kill of the match, and I, to what I think is great success, pulled off my Water Spout sweep that I was oh so hoping would be able to go down in this match. OkkND, you fought very hard against this. I physically don't think there's a lot that could have been done after choice effects were revealed. I played my entire game around making sure that this gets in and gets every opportunity to do what it's going to do. But it was very fun. I like the repositioning and the adjustment in the second game at the end there. And I hope that all of my games are going to be as fun and hype as this one. I might start doing in-match commentary just because I was cackling. I was laughing maniacally when I was able to pull this off. Very happy with myself, probably a little too happy with myself, but had a very good time. We come away with the win. I might actually do a little bit of post-match standings analysis as well, because assuming that the document gets updated, I want to show off how things have been going for the season thus far, and maybe do some analysis for the other teams and how they are doing. Let's go ahead and try that. Alright, so I am here with the standings for Season 6 of the PCPL. I am, as you already know, the Rock'em Sock'em Rotoms. So if you take a look at the standings that are currently going on for the league, I am tied for first. Currently still undefeated after this latest game, and most of what I have to say about that is, Indignado, please, dear God, lose a game. I would really appreciate it, because last season I was also either, like, in the number 1 seed or tied for the number 1 seed. But my opponent that season also never lost a game. So I was relegated to number 2 seed. We did end up both getting knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, but I was still a little bit salty about never being able to be the number 1 seed in the division. Although my name is at the top of the list right now, for whatever reason, it's not alphabetically. Oh, it is alphabetically first because of the word "the." Okay, well, alphabetically is not the way that I want to be first place. So I would love to finally, have the first seed for myself, start running away with things. I'm really happy with how I've been playing this season. Kyogre's been doing amazing. My support Pokemon have been really just putting in a ton of work. I've been very happy with my play and everything like that. As we could see from the MVP race here, my support Pokemon not only have been putting in a lot of work alongside Kyogre, who's currently sitting at the number 2 spot on the kill leaderboard. Again, thanks Indignado. But my Tinkaton here, outside of the Qianpao, is the leading kill leader for non restricted Pokemon. Once again, you know, number two, Tinkaton being number two, Kyogre being number two, me being either first or second, depending on how you look at it in the standings. I'm feeling a little salty, as you might imagine. Not terribly, because I don't want to be that kid in the class that gets a 95 and then yells, teacher, teacher, please give me 2 points that you messed up grading on. But I'm very competitive, and I'm not one of those people who can admit, or who can't admit that they like watching big numbers go up, or one of those people who are they don't really care about the standings as long as they're having fun. I care a little bit about the standings. I am definitely a person who checks in on the MVP race every week, who checks in on the standings every week, looks how other people are doing. I'm excited about all of those things. I really enjoy seeing the competitive aspect of a draft league. And some of the reasons I started making videos on this stuff is because it's just very exciting for me, and it all feels a lot more real and interesting when I have the opportunity to look at everything, all of the statistics, all of the progress that I have made. It's a very good time for me. So, looking at everything though, Indignato's obviously absolutely been killing it. I'm not trying to take anything away from you, but you are tearing people apart with Ice Rider, and I would prefer if you just took a week off from doing that. I think we don't play at all in the regular season, so hopefully in the playoffs I can do something about that myself. I will definitely see you there. But Shadow Rider, I wasn't able to record last week's match, unfortunately, but we did beat the Shadow Rider, which I think knocked it down a peg on the kill leaderboards, and the other undefeated coach was beaten by me as well. So lots of fun stuff. I enjoy the competitiveness. The rest of the top 10 here, we have Groudon, Zacian, Terapagos. They make a lot of sense. I'm really happy to see Groudon doing well. Groudon's a personal favorite restricted of mine. It's the one that I use on the ladder whenever I'm playing. And then Archelodon and Iron Hands now tying Tinkaton with 0 kill performance this week. Good support, though. I appreciated Tinkaton in this matchup, but couldn't really get it any kills because I'm trying to get Kyogre climbed up to the top there. But Tinkaton also was doing a great job staying alive. That differential, 9-2 versus 9-5 and 9-7. Tinkaton just never dies to anything. Assault Vest or Citrus Berry every week, just clicking buttons over and over. It's been a good time. I think Tinkaton is going to be my personal MVP for the season. Kyogre might be my actual one. But in terms of the rest of the season playing out, I am excited to see how we can do. I'm excited to try to get that 8-0. But at the very least, let's see if we can get some top seed action going on in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, I will see just Swagary there at the very top and Indignato. I wish you good luck, but I also wish for a couple of crits heading in your direction coming very soon. I will see you all next week and be back for more. See ya.